In this video, we're going to be talking about what could be the final piece of the puzzle in this case of Ripple versus the SEC. According to Jeremy Hogan, one of our favorite outside attorneys covering this case, there is a piece of the puzzle that was just submitted, and it involves XRP holders. Also, we're going to be talking about Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, and his words about the SEC, who responded to it, and some of the biggest news that this case has seen yet, including the news about the Bill Hinman emails that are now in the hands of Ripple. And while it all sounds like this case is going to be coming to an end soon in favor of Ripple because of all that news, well, you might want to hold off on popping that champagne bottle just yet. Hey everyone, my name is Randy. Welcome back to the Late Night Grind, and right now on this channel we're covering the Ripple versus the SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, and personal finance. So if any or all these topics interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, join the Late Night Grind community. Also, if you do a couple things, I'd appreciate it. Smash the thumbs up button, watch this video all the way to the end, and if you want to have a conversation with me, check out the link to my Twitter profile below. Alright guys, let's jump into it. So before we get into some of the details on the documents that just came out regarding the Ripple versus the SEC case, I wanted to talk about a new headline that just showed up regarding Twitter and what it is doing. According to a new headline, Twitter is said to be developing its own cryptocurrency custody wallet. Now, this is big news because, as we know, Elon Musk is in the final stages, supposedly, of acquiring Twitter, and his comments about utilizing cryptocurrencies even more into Twitter and the rumors of such that could be happening, it could mean big news for the future of Twitter and the use of cryptocurrencies. In fact, some of the analysis that I read are speculating that Musk, along with some of the other executives that are still there, are continuing its work to push Twitter into becoming a fully functional, decentralized Web3 application. Now, I don't know exactly how decentralized it would get, but nonetheless, I believe that somebody like Elon Musk heading this up, you could see a lot more Web3 and DeFi coming into the space. And that's not the last time I'm going to mention Elon Musk in this video, because he actually responded to something that Brad Garlinghouse has been saying about the SEC on Twitter. All right, so what is actually happening now with the Ripple versus the SEC case? The Weeknd had some crazy news come out. We've had some incredible legal analysis by Jeremy Hogan, John Deaton, and a few others that I've seen about what some of these documents mean. So let's just quickly recap what has happened. Stuart Alderati, who is Ripple's general counsel, announced on Twitter the other day that the SEC has finally turned over all of the Bill Hinman emails, all the documents, the drafts, all the communications surrounding that infamous speech, which of course give Ethereum its free pass, and they turned those documents over to Ripple. So Stuart Alderati took to Ripple with this announcement. He said, over 18 months and 6 court orders later, we finally have the Bill Hinman documents, the internal SEC emails and drafts of his infamous 2018 speech. While they remain confidential for now at the SEC's insistence, and this is where the speculation of a possible settlement comes in, I can say that it was well worth the fight to get them. Now, this is not for somebody who's been covering this case for a long time, especially since the rumors and about all these conversations and about all of these communications and the drafts of this speech and who was behind it came out. People thought, man, if we could just get our hands on those documents, this case would be over. It would prove all of the conspiracy theories true. It would prove how shady and underhanded the SEC has actually been behind closed doors and how they've been trying to cover their tracks for the past year and a half. So Ripple now has these emails, and according to them and to Brad Garlinghouse, well, there's some very shady things going on inside the SEC, but of course that's not coming out yet. And Stuart actually followed up that tweet and he said, I've always felt good about our legal arguments, and I feel even better now. I always felt bad about the SEC's tactics, and I feel even worse about them now. Well, those are some pretty strong words, but the CEO of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, had some even harsher words for the SEC. He quote tweeted that statement, and he followed up with his words that the SEC wants you to think that it cares about disclosure, transparency, and clarity. Don't believe them. When the truth eventually comes out, the shamefulness of their behavior here will shock you. Now, it's not exactly going to shock me. It won't shock some of the people that have been watching this channel, that have been watching other channels covering this case as well, because as you can see, some of the underhanded tactics that the SEC has been using, and even some of the hypocrisy that the judges in this specific case have been pointing out about the SEC, well, it's not really shocking. Maybe to the general public, maybe to the general average cryptocurrency user, it may shock them. But do you know who else it hasn't shocked? Elon Musk. That's right, Elon Musk responded to Brad Garlinghouse's tweet in 2 words. He simply said, "No way." Now, if you know Elon Musk at all, that is highly sarcastic. We have known for some time Elon Musk's essentially disdain and lack of respect for the SEC because he's probably seen a lot of these underhanded tactics for the better part of the last 5 years throughout the different businesses that he's had, specifically with Tesla in 2018. Okay, so now that we have these Bill Hinman emails, Ripple's going to put something together and just shut this case down right now. They're going to go public with these and force the SEC into basically a settlement in which everything's going to be finalized, right? Well, no, not exactly. According to Jeremy Hogan, as well as some of the others, the Bill Hinman emails are really only going to come into play during the part of this case in which fair notice defense is actually up for a decision. It has nothing to do with is XRP a security, it has nothing to do with anything that we're waiting for right now. So what are we waiting for right now? Well, November 15th, that's the final date that we're going to be looking at. This is where the final motions have to be submitted to the judge before Judge Torres is going to make a decision on the important one. The first important one, is XRP a security? Is it considered a security? Now, as we know, Ripple already submitted their motion for summary judgment. The SEC, as of a couple of days ago, responded to Ripple's request for summary judgment, and they said the judge should deny Ripple's request for summary judgment. Now, I've seen a lot of analysis, and there's some full analysis by Jeremy Hogan that was very well done, and I'm not going to get into all the different legal aspects of it because, honestly, that's well over my head. So I'm going to put a link in the description to his full legal analysis about it. But basically, it comes down to this, the SEC trying to argue that the sales of XRP that Ripple and its executives did constituted security sales because there was an inferred investment contract, and from what Jeremy Hogan said, the SEC had a really rough time trying to prove that there was in fact an investment contract, pointing to other cases in which they've actually litigated successfully that pointed out where something was considered a security even though there was no physical contract. So that is what we are waiting for right now. And Jeremy Hogan says essentially the next day, November 16th, there could be a ruling on is XRP a security, but it most likely will not happen. Probably going to go into 2023 if a lot of these schedules uphold to what they have been. The other news that came out in one of the motions that was filed from Ripple that Jeremy Hogan actually pointed out was that Ripple is actually looking for a trial by jury when it comes to the fair notice defense. So that's going to be something that I'm going to be looking at a little bit more as we get closer to that time. Again, I'm not going to go into that legal analysis. Watch his video down below for more detailed information on exactly what's going on there. And finally, before I wrap up this video, I want to talk about the price of XRP because as of the last couple of weeks, we've seen a big push, a big price movement upward in XRP. A lot of that had to do with some of the speculation. Some of that speculation had to do with traders looking at some of the trend lines that it's been bouncing on and whales accumulating massive amounts of XRP. However, within the last week or so, we've noticed a decrease in volume. Now, that could be a lot because the midterms are coming up, and some of the speculation is that you'll notice in the stock market and in the crypto markets, there is just not going to be quite the volume that there was several weeks ago because a lot of people are waiting for the midterms to see who actually holds the House and the Senate here in the United States, and it's going to push for more legal frameworks and some more clarity regarding the crypto markets, regarding stable coins, and in fact, who could actually control the cryptocurrency market here in the US, specifically the SEC versus the CFTC. So it is definitely going to be something very interesting to follow in the next couple of weeks. All right, guys, I really appreciate you watching this video all the way to the end, for smashing that thumbs up button, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next video.